Good morning, one and all present over here. On behalf of the Embassy of India in Dublin and the Ambassador of India to Ireland, His Excellency Akhilesh Mishra ji, we welcome all of you for this seminar, Powering a Sustainable Future, Strengthening India-Ireland Ties in the Renewable Energy Sector. We welcome the main speaker of this seminar today, Dr. Bhupendra Kr Singh, Principal, Energy Security Division, Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, and our partner for this event today, Invest India, and their speaker, Mr. Deepanshu Kaul Philip, Senior Investment Specialist, and representatives from India-Ireland Business Association and dignitaries from various Chamber of Commerce and business entities and organizations from India and Ireland. To begin the seminar today, let's watch a short clipping of speech by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, addressing the G20 Energy Ministers Meet held in India this month. Video, please.
India is making great efforts in green growth and energy transition. India is the most populated nation and the fastest growing large economy in the world. Yet, we are moving strongly on our climate commitments. India has shown leadership in climate action. We achieved our non-fossil installed electric capacity target 9 years in advance. We have now set a higher target. We plan to achieve 50% non-fossil installed capacity by 2030. India is also among the global leaders in solar and wind power. I'm happy that the working group delegates visited the Pavagadh Solar Park and Modera Solar Village. They have witnessed the level and scale of India's commitment to clean energy. We are working on a mission mode on green hydrogen as an alternative. The aim is to make India a global hub for the production, use, and export of green hydrogen and its derivatives. We are happy to share our learnings.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Prime Minister of India has clearly outlined India's commitment and a commitment in the field of renewable energy. Now, may I request His Excellency Akhilesh Mishra ji, Ambassador of India to Ireland, for giving his introductory remarks. Sir.
My very warm greetings to all friends in India and Ireland who are connected with this program. I must thank my colleague, my deputy, Namodaran ji, and our esteemed partners in India, CII and Invest India, for hosting this program. The theme of today's program is really very significant for all of us, for the whole world. Powering a sustainable future is a theme which has very high global importance, but it's particularly important for a country like India. Because India has not only the world's largest population, but also we have a very high population density. About 18% of the world's population and 2.4% of the land mass. So the situation is very acute for India because of the population density. Secondly, India is a country which is confronted with all forms of climate change catastrophe, whether it's ocean related or water or extreme heat waves or flooding or slides or glacier-related tragedies, we are confronted with recurring catastrophes relating to climate change. Second aspect is while India is the fastest growing G20 economy, we also have acute, like very significant development deficit. We still have people below poverty line, and there's a lot of development catch up to be done. The level of industrialization in India is very modest. We are still about 30% urbanized population. That means about 400 million people will be added to our urban population in the next 3 decades. The carbon footprint and the need for reducing the carbon footprint is very, very high on people's agenda in India. It is no longer a matter of international commitment, a question of our own well-being, our own sustainable lifestyle and development. And I must share that before Prime Minister Modi ji came to power, the situation, we all like bureaucrats, we felt quite somber about what is happening and how will we deal with this magnitude of problem that we have in India. But thanks to Honorable Prime Minister Modi's vision and his grassroots level understanding of Indian ethos, there is complete change in the mindset in India, in the people, in the bureaucracy, in the business community. And now I think we have, under Prime Minister Modi, become the frontline actor in taking care of sustainable development, environmental consciousness, and pushing renewable energy as the mainstay of our energy source. At the international level, India has not only played a very important leadership role in ensuring a balanced outcome of climate change negotiations, ensuring a balanced outcome, harmonizing environmental, social, and economic priorities, not to the exclusion of one or the other. Secondly, we have ensured that the obligations are met by all countries as per their nationally determined obligations in a manner which is in line with the spirit of common but differentiated responsibilities. And also we have taken leadership in setting up new institutions like International Solar Alliance, CDRI, and also Mission Lifestyle for Environment, setting the promotion of yoga through International Day of Yoga, promotion of Ayurveda, and also this year is International Year of Millets. So these are India-led initiatives which have tremendous impact on a sustainable future. Within India, I think the biggest change I see under Prime Minister Modi is that he has integrated sustainable development ambitions and the UNFCCC agenda into our national development strategy. There is a deep sense of national ownership of what we are doing and we want to do. It's no longer about meeting international obligations somehow. Like, it's our mission, we want to do it for our sake and also for the larger benefit. Second aspect is the development itself has been viewed in a more holistic perspective because it will be actually self-defeating if we develop in a manner which is not sustainable. And also there has to be a recognition that unless the people who are most vulnerable to climate change, unless they are brought on board, unless they are included in our national mission, it will again not be sustainable. So Prime Minister Modi's paradigm shift of development approach from the trickle-down model to ground up, that has been a game changer. The Clean India mission, the sanitation drive, constructing about 120 million toilets, and also empowering the poorest of the poor through different multiple schemes. So that has made the sustainable development also a people's-led mission, not just government-driven agenda. The third aspect is that it's no longer business as usual. The sustainability drive is also technology driven. It's innovation led. The innovation led development in India has had multiple very profound benefits, impacts on India's life. One simple example I can give is the way Prime Minister Modi leveraged the unique asset of India, the population. And the aggregation of demand gave unprecedented benefits to us through like LED, which used to cost $10 or $15. Now it's costing less than $1. And because of that aggregation of demand, about 368 million LEDs have been installed in India. And they are saving 48 billion units of energy every year. Similarly, LPG connections replacing the wood for cooking and also solar energy, wind energy, because of that unique model of aggregating demand and using very, very interesting policy supports. So India has become a world's cheapest source of renewable energy. The solar energy tariff in India has come down to less than 3 rupees per unit. Similarly, India has become the 4th largest producer of solar energy as well as wind energy. But the more important thing is that we have the scale of change in India on the renewable energy front is very inspiring, very encouraging. We have added about 67 gigawatt of solar energy capacity during Prime Minister Modi's tenure, and 100 gigawatt is being executed in its different stages of implementation. 100 gigawatt of renewable energy, wind and solar, has been added during the past 9 years. So what we are looking at India today is using our own unique strengths, both in terms of the large market and ability to aggregate demand and go for economy of scale, leverage our very large skilled manpower pool. India produces about 40 million university graduates a year. It is expected that by 2030, India will account for 1/4 of the entire world's university graduate production. So the skilled manpower, the demand, and very low cost production of renewable energy. So that has given us the ambition to be the world leader in green hydrogen. And also the kind of complementarity that we see between Ireland and India, it's very exciting for us in the Indian Embassy. Because if you look at Ireland, Ireland have also got independence about 25 years ago before we got, and Ireland also started from agrarian-based economic base like us. But the way Ireland has transformed itself is one of the most vibrant tech hubs with 5 million population. Ireland has about 17 to 1900 multinational companies. Its manufactured goods in trade is about 260 billion euros. Services trade is about 330 billion euros, $500 billion economy. About $3 trillion of assets under management. So it's a very, very fascinating business hub, and also very interesting bridge for connecting with Europe as well as North America. If you look at renewable energy itself, it's very interesting that Ireland has also about 7,000 kilometers of coastline. India has about 7,500 kilometers of coastline. Ireland has also very ambitious plans about offshore energy. Their like short-term target is to have 2 gigawatt of offshore wind energy by 2030. And that also target is to have 5 gigawatt of green hydrogen energy by 2030. So we do see complementarities. And the opportunities I see are manifold. Like the most important is B2B connectivity. Indian renewable energy segment is extremely vibrant, and Ireland is also quite ambitious in terms of unique opportunities. So India can provide to Irish companies economy of scale. Also, India's huge domestic market, the huge human resource potential, the skilled manpower. India can contribute to Ireland in scaling up and speeding their transformation. Secondly, the knowledge partnership is one big area where I'm working very closely with Irish friends because there are many universities which are doing really interesting cutting edge work, research work on wind energy, solar energy, green hydrogen, and it will be beneficial for us to connect on the knowledge domain. Also, energy efficiency is a big area where India and Ireland should consult each other and benefit from each other's unique strengths. ESG as a financial product, again, is a very interesting area for us to work together. Education and skilling for the renewable energy production and all the entire ecosystem is again a interesting business opportunity. Skilling as a business opportunity, we have not seriously looked at as a bilateral initiative. Lastly, the startup segment is very high potential for both India and Ireland to connect. It's a high time that we must have a separate dialogue between India and Ireland. We can, thanks to Bhupendra Kr, we can look at India Ireland connect in startup in renewable energy segment itself. It's a big enough opportunity. Ireland has about 30,000 startups. Also, Ireland has 4 unicorns with just 5 billion population, 6 unicorns with 5 billion people. And also, Ireland has Europe's highest success rate in startups. 16 to 17% startup success rate in Ireland. European Union's average is just 6 to 7%. In India, the startup success rate is only about 1 to 2%. Although India has the world's third largest startup eco-cluster and also third largest number of unicorns, about 118 unicorns. So India's scale is different, but in terms of opportunity to learn from each other, there is a huge merit. Once again, Bhupendra Ji, thank you so much for accepting our invitation to deliver your presentation. And we are very grateful to Invest India and CII for helping us in spreading the message and connecting us with relevant players in India. We are very grateful.
Thank you for your insightful remarks on the topic. May I now request our speaker from CII today, Dr. Bhupendra Kumar Singh, Principal, Energy Security Division, Confederation of Indian Industry, to give away his elaborate speech on the topic. Before that, a brief intro about Dr. Bhupendra Kumar Ji. Dr. Bhupendra Kumar Singh is currently Principal, Energy Security at Confederation of Indian Industries, New Delhi, after serving for a short stint at the Minister of External Affairs, Government of India. The first person to do PhD on India's energy security from Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He has also done Executive MBA from UPES, Dehradun. He has written many books and articles in reputed peer-reviewed journals. He had the opportunity to address the Energy Parliamentary Committee on Energy Storage, United Kingdom. He had been member of ETP Committee constituted by International Energy Agency, Paris, member of International Association of Energy Economics, member of the Committee on Analysis of Future Mobility Fuel Scenarios, considering sustainable use of biofuels and other alternative vehicle fuels in East Asia Summit countries, Japan. Project Director for the projects of FCO, Government of UK, Asia Foundation and Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia. He has helped in the formulation of policy on emerging national security issues 2021 for the Center of Excellence for National Security, RSIS, and the National Security Coordination Secretariat in the PMO's office of Singapore. Here, he was instrumental for facilitating India-Nepal Power Trade Agreement in 2014. For his exemplary work on cross-border power trade in South Asia, he was awarded with Nepal's prestigious Distinguished Person Award of 2021 by the Prime Minister of Nepal. So he is constantly working for energy transition and cross-border integration of renewable energy. So over to you, sir, please.
Thank you. Namaskar and Namaskar, His Excellency Sri Akhilesh Mishra ji and distinguished delegates. So I would like to have a presentation, as you said, I would like to focus about what is the current situation of the world renewable energy and what will be in the future, how it is growing on. And then I will focus on little bit on Ireland energy also, renewable energy specifically only. And then we'll come to India's energy, renewable energy scenario. And then what are the collaboration, whether it will be an investment or technology collaboration can be done. So with your permission, I am going to share my presentation. Thank you. So there is a worldwide concern about ensuring energy security. So I'd like to first, explain what is exactly energy security. Energy security essentially implies to ensure continuous access of energy to cater its economic and commercial growth. However, energy security definition can be varied for different countries. For exporter, it is continuous access of an adequate market to sell their energy products. The countries which have more technology or who are producers of energy, they also look for energy markets. For importer, it is the continuous access of energy at affordable prices. So important countries like India and others, they want, how we can get continuous access, whether it is the form of goods or it is form of investment or in the form of technology. And for consumer, it is a continuous fulfillment of daily energy needs at affordable prices. And now a big concern has come out as a case of climate change. So there is a big concern how to reduce GHG emission and how to get affordable energy, which is less pollution emitting, or you can say it's a sustainable energy. So now the current renewable, what is the current status of global energy? So if you see the global renewable energy generation capacity in this diagram, you will see that the global renewable generation capacity at the end of 2022 has reached to around 3,372 gigawatt. And in the last, if we compare the last year, like 2021 and 22, in that period, there was a jump of 9.6% renewable energy in the world. So that is an increase of 295 gigawatts in cumulative sense. The maximum increase was Asia, which has come to around 1.6 terawatt due to increase. Now it has capacity in each 1.63 terawatt. So, but if you split, it will be around 140 because there is a 50% increase. So if you deduct in 295 gigawatt, it will be around 147 gigawatt roughly. There is a highest increase in Asia. And this increase is basically in China and India. In Europe and North America, there is also increase of renewable energy. In Europe, it is around 57.3 gigawatt. And in North America, it is 29.1 gigawatt. So there is all over the world, there is a concern about exploitation of renewable energy and its usage is increasing. Now, Africa has also steadily increased around 2.7 gigawatt. Oceania, which also have double-digit growth. It is, if you take into account in the previous their generation capacity, they have expanded and it's reached around to 5.2 gigawatt. So there is a good expansion. South America has also continued an upward trend and with a capacity expansion of 18.2 gigawatt. Middle East was also, though in the Middle East, the renewable energy is also in increasing process. Exploitation is increasing. They are doing hard to produce more renewable energy. But in the last 1 year, they have increased, 3.2 gigawatts, which is very, very, impressive. And its increase is around 12.8%. After all, if you see the renewable energy, it is the solar and wind who has dominated the new renewable energy generation capacity, and both accounted around 90%. If the capacity addition, if we take till December 2022, we see the hydropower increased by 21 gigawatt, that is around roughly 2% increase, and wind power increased around 75 gigawatt, that is roughly 9%. Solar energy jumped very high, that is 191 gigawatt, and it is around 22%. Bioenergy has also modest increase, that is 7.6 gigawatt, and geothermal energy also modest increase, 181 megawatt. So this is the basic trend of renewable energy, which has increased in the last 1 year, and there till December 2022. This is the scenario of world renewable energy. If now we come to the futuristic, what will be the future? For future, we have accounted, 3 types of graphs. One is accelerated graph, considering that carbon emission, by and large, the country, they have placed a goal to reduce the carbon emission by 2050. So in accelerated scenario, we have considered around carbon reduction of 75% by 2050. And the new momentum, there is a one, this line is green line, new momentum, where the main trajectory, what the government initiative is going to meet that. And that scenario, what will be the renewable energy future, or fossil fuel, or electricity, or low carbon. And the net zero goal, by and large countries, they are fixing their net zero, like India has fixed, like by 2070, there will be net zero. However, Ireland has considered it 2050. They wanted net zero. So in this scenario, if you see that in the case of fossil fuel, in the all 3 scenarios, there is a trend of declination. All they are going to decline. In 2019, the share of fossil fuel in primary energy, which was 80%, it is now roughly, if we be in 2050, if we take the account, it's a minimum, it's average account, so it will be around 60, below 60%. In net zero, it will be going to be below 20%, and in the accelerated scenario, it will be between 20 to 40%. So fossil fuel is increasing. At the same time, renewable energy is increasing, and by you see the by 2050, it is going to dominate. Electricity, also there is an increase in the consumption, not only for new lifestyle, or you can say that industry activity, but also there is a concern of adoption of electric vehicles. and that requires charging. So electricity share will be also in three scenario will going to increase, and in the low carbon hydrogen scenario also, in three all the scenario it has increasing pattern. So the basic conclusion is that the average fossil fuel is going to be declined by 2050, and there is a rise of renewables and low carbon hydrogen in usage. Now I'm coming to India's renewable energy scenario. India is placed fourth position in overall, whether it is renewable or in wind. They have installed capacity of fourth position in all over the world. They have achieved around more than 42% cumulative installed capacity right now, and from the non-fossil fuels, and we are expecting to meet it around 45% to reduce carbon intensity by 2030. India has ambition to reach 450 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, installed capacity by 2030, as well as net zero carbon by 2070. It has targeted to achieve 50% cumulative energy from non-fossil fuel and exploitation of renewable energy also in that ratio in 2030. So there is a special focus, as His Excellency Ambassador Sri Mishra ji has told. Our government is working very hard towards promotion of renewable energy, and so they are focusing on that. Now, India recently has announced National Green Hydrogen Mission, and there is an outlet of for that USD 2.4 billion, which is very high. And the main focus of this National Green Hydrogen Mission is that to obtain a target of 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen a year by 2030, which ultimately will produce around 125 gigawatt energy. So it's a very you can say important mission that government of India has launched to reduce GHG emission and meet its NDC commitment, and towards the final target to achieve net zero by 2070. By 2030, the target is to absorb wind capacity also around 30 gigawatts, which is also a massive target which India has put. If you see by the graph wise, the installed capacity of renewable energy, what the current in India is that it is dominated by solar power, which is 66.7 gigawatt. That is around 39% of the total, installed capacity of renewable energy in India. Followed by, if I am talking about solar energy, excluding, hydro. Hydro has now recently merged between a small hydro and large hydro. So if you account as a whole, then large hydro and large hydro has also got the full status of renewable. So in this scenario, large hydro is the largest contributor of renewable energy. But if you exclude large hydro, it is solar, who is increasing very fast in India. Large hydro, that is 46.885 gigawatt installed capacities, and wind power is 42.6, which is 25%, and large hydro is 27%. Waste to energy has also increased. A small if you bifurcate a small hydro, then it is around 4.9%. There is a installed capacity. Biomass is around 10.2 gigawatt, so which is around roughly 6%. So now coming to the Ireland's renewable energy. Renewable energy, if you see, it is the wind energy which is dominating in Ireland, and total wind energy generation was approximately 12,000 gigawatt in 2021 in Ireland. So by and large, the electricity demand, it is met by wind energy in Ireland. And if you see the Ireland's climate target, that is the 51% reduction. I think the Ambassador Mishra has already told and informed that they have also net zero emission by 2050. They have also target to increase around 2 gigawatt offshore additional wind source capacity. So they are going to be increased in a hydro. By and large, their focus is on wind energy. If we split, we can see that hydro has in Ireland in 2021 102%. Wind, that is 28%, which is the then biomass and renewable 13%, biogas and landfill 2%, biofuel 2%, solar PV and thermal 1%, and ambient 2%, peat 4%, gas. Gas by and large they are importing, but their share is around 41%, and waste to non-renewable is 5%. So this is the scenario of Ireland. So Ireland has a potential to export renewable energy globally, allowing Ireland to be one of the leaders in renewable energy. Ireland also has a very good geographical position because they are facing the Atlantic. And it has a strong advantage to producing renewable energy due to this. Basically, Ireland's strength lies in wind energy, hence it can become a significant source of offshore wind energy given its large sea-to land mass. And most interestingly is that Ireland is an important European Union country, and it is now concentrating of exploitation of green hydrogen, so it can be a green hydrogen powerhouse. So what are the suggestions? What Ireland should do more? One is that they have to diversify renewable energy sources. By and large, they are dependent on wind energy. But there is a time they can diversify, like adopting green gases and the biomethane and also solar energy. Then to strengthen robust grid connectivity and electricity infrastructure. So to evacuate any green energy or renewable energy, wind power, whether it is solar, any grid connectivity is very, very required. But the required infrastructure is not at the mark in Ireland, and it requires more connectivity and establish and set up more electricity infrastructure. Then there is a worldwide concern of transition of energy. So and decarbonize the economy. For that, they need advanced technology. Green transport. As in the previous slide, I have shown that only 2% biofuel they are using. And how to combat green transport? To combat green transport, there are two ways. One way is to deploy more EV. And if electrical vehicle is deployed, so transport, pollution can be minimized as the maximum level. Another is that you can mix ethanol or biofuel in petrol and diesel. That can also reduce. So these are the strategy Ireland should adopt. So what are the collaboration, should happen between India and Ireland? We have seen the renewable energy of India and we have seen Ireland also. So there is a possibility of investment. One is that India needs around 4.3 billion investments towards meeting its net zero goal. Second, India renewable energy sector is going to attract around 25 billion USD in 2023. India also allows 100% FDI in renewables, and this is opportunity Ireland can cash on it. For Ireland, Ireland is also a 30th most attractive market internationally. And this also gives opportunity of Indian company to go set up their projects and invest there. So there is a both way mutual cooperation between India and Ireland in investment. Recently, our government PSU, IREDA, and European Investment Bank is thinking for a corporate partnership for financing of renewable energy and green hydrogen projects in India. And Ireland is the gateway of European Union. So I think Ireland can play an important role in investment collaboration. Now coming to the technology and innovation collaboration. A smart grid. There is as I said, that there is a requirement of grid connectivity and setting of infrastructure. So India has a good experience in national in a smart grid and connectivity and grid connectivity. And India has also launched its India National Smart Grid Mission in 2015, and it has experience, and this experience can be shared to Ireland. So there will be a good cooperation for a smart grid also. Then coming to the solar energy, as the earlier slides shows that it is the only wind energy which is prevailing in, by and large, which is prevailing in Ireland. So there is a ample opportunity. India can help Ireland in setting up solar energy, because every nation must diversify its energy sources. So solar energy is another area where we can collaborate with our cost-effective solar components and cutting-edge technology that will help Ireland also. Then collaborating manufacturing ventures between Indian company present an opportunity to localize solar production, foster economic growth, reduce carbon footprint also. And bilateral ties can enhance cooperation. Offshore wind energy. This is the area where both we can visualize. Ireland has a vast experience in offshore, wind energy. So we can learn from Ireland, and we have also, as His Excellency Ambassador Mishra was telling, India have also a vast coastline. So we can, collaborate on that, the technology, how we can minimize, and why we can explore the cheaper and best technology which can reduce the production cost of the wind power. So this is the area we can also concentrate wind energy. Now coming to the green hydrogen, there is a worldwide phenomena. People are thinking about green hydrogen. India has also launched a green hydrogen mission, and Ireland also Ireland also committed to have a green hydrogen powerhouse. So how we can collaborate, that is very, very important point. It is the one area that is called research and development area, where joint innovation and advancement of eco-friendly solution we can get to how to produce, cheaper green hydrogen. So this is the area we can share each other experiences or technology or collaborate. Now, earlier it has already been done one collaboration, that is Ireland's fusion fuel company and India's VGR Energy has set up a plant in Tamil Nadu in 2021. So Ireland company has already, made its a step in India. But there is a need to more and more collaboration. So green hydrogen also, what emphasis Ireland is doing is that they are emphasizing to use wind energy for development of green hydrogen, while India is emphasizing on use solar energy by and large to produce more green hydrogen. So we can collaborate, we can learn, we have also ample, wind capacity. And so that in the area where we have abundant wind facility, wind energy facility, we can produce green hydrogen. And there we can take the knowledge sharing from Ireland. And at the same time, if Ireland is willing to deploy solar energy there, so India can also help to how they can produce green hydrogen using solar energy. So this is in a both way area, wind and solar, both India and Ireland can cooperate. Another area is that energy storage. So both Ireland and India can collaborate for setting of green and developing green hydrogen energy storage. Biofuel is an important collaboration area between India and Ireland. Ireland just exploiting only 2% and using, you can say, in its transportation sector and other sector. While India has achieved around 12% ethanol blending, and it has a target to achieve around 20% ethanol blending by 2025. And India has world-class R&D experience. And many countries are taking its experiences of biofuel production ethanol from India in abroad. So Ireland can collaborate with India for research and development, how we can, means India can help Ireland for their enhancement of biofuel. As you know, India has presidency of G20, and that a wonderful work India has done is that creation of Global Biofuel Alliance. So India with Brazil and US is working on Global Biofuel Alliance, and it is a good opportunity for Ireland if they can also join in this Global Biofuel Alliance. This will help for the development of biofuel in Ireland, and also it will help to meet their sustainability target and reduce GHG emission, and finally to achieve net zero target. Pump storage. India has a vast experience, and thus both the country can venture this area also. Many other areas are collaboration. Like Ireland has set a huge target for renewable energy, and which requires again a huge talent pool and knowledge transfer. And as Ambassador Mishra was telling, India has a huge skilled and trained manpower in design, consultancy, operation, and management of renewable projects. And they can hire our manpower there, and that can be helpful for their advancement towards renewable energy installations. Indian company operating in the renewable energy space are prone to do excellence in limited resources. So this is, the area where Ireland can seek help from India, and India can provide, which can help their remote, uh, for instance, remote monitoring of data from solar power plants. If they are going to, they can provide consultancy, and even Ireland can outsource some of the services to India. So this is the another area of collaboration. Renewable to meeting GHG emission or net to achieving net zero is not only dependent on renewable energy. They have to also look for EV, electrical vehicles. In my personal opinion, electrical vehicle and renewable are the two pillars for sustainability to reduce GHG emission, and that must go side by side. So EV is another area of cooperation between India and Ireland, and India has around 400 EV manufacturers. And it also requires huge investment. Either it is with a huge investment collaboration or technology transfer. So in EV area, Ireland can think to work together. India is also one of the largest leader in energy efficiency technology, and our flagship uh, company, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, has given many supports to different countries. So it is the area where Ireland can also think to collaborate for energy efficiency technology partnership. It can help energy assessment services, training and certification of energy audits, and demand side management and green building. So we have seen that this is the collaborative area where India and Ireland can work together. Another area is a startup. A startup, India has also a huge startup, and Ireland is a hub of a startup. So best entrepreneurship talent in India has also. So both we can collaborate for a startup also. One thing I would like to mention here is that in the solar cooperation, I have read that in Ireland there is a one challenge why they are not, going to, or why they are people are not interested about the solar installation is the solar rooftop, But there is some technology you can design, and our many Indian company like Tata Power, then Adani, then Vikram Solar, the Renew Power. They have the capacity, to produce good, PV, solar PV, and they can design. I was in Bangkok also earlier, some days back, and they have there was also the same problem. People were hesitating putting, solar panels at their roof. What they have done, they have, made their roof with the solar panels like that in designing. This is called design solar panel. So it looks very, aesthetic sense is very high, and it looks very beautiful. So I think Ireland should think about designing of their solar power, solar photovoltaic, or solar panel, installation. So if designing is done in well in matter, so that can encourage automatically. So this will also help. So this is the another area we can collaborate. So in the nut sense, we can say it is the green hydrogen, energy storage, low carbon technology, electrical vehicles, pumped storage, biofuel, solar energy, and wind energy. These are the area where India and Ireland can cooperate together. And this is all, and thank you. And also I thank my colleagues Ekta Mishra and Mansa Putkunari, who has helped me a lot preparing this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhupendra Kumarji, for your comprehensive coverage on the topic. It was really informative and insightful, and it was well received by our participants today. I could see many of them have taken notes on your page by page. They have taken note of your inputs. So we will hope we will see further collaboration in those areas, and embassy would do our best in doing that and happening materializing in the future. And now, shall we invite the next speaker, Mr. Deepanshu Kaul Philip, Senior Investment Specialist from Invest India. Invest India is our partner today for this event. A brief intro about Mr. Deepanshu. Mr. Deepanshu is a Senior Investment Specialist in Invest India. He manages the energy sector at Invest India, facilitating market entry and grounding of investment projects in green hydrogen and solar energy. He is a solar energy entrepreneur and consultant, having built an energy company from scratch and has expanded it across 3 states with capacity in the megawatt scale. His brief speech will cover about the renewable energy opportunities in India. As India is the fastest growing major economy, he's focusing on a model of development that is clean and green, with diverse energy mix across solar, wind, green hydrogen, bioenergy, and storage systems. So India's energy landscape provides an opportunity across value chains from manufacturers, startups, off-takers to energy investors. So through the presentation, the audience will understand the priority areas and the way forward to India's 2030 vision. Over to you, Mr. Deepanshu Kaul.
Yeah. His Excellency Ambassador Mishra, Dr. Bhupendra Kumar Singh, and all my friends from India and Ireland, a very good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank the Embassy of India, Dublin, for giving me this opportunity to present to the audience on what is happening in the energy landscape in India and the investment opportunities that are there in our great country. Before I begin presenting on India's energy landscape, I would like to point out the key synergies that can develop between Ireland and India. Ireland's energy market transformation has been both significant and far-reaching. Last December, Ireland raised its renewable energy capacity goal from 15 gigawatt in the Climate Action Plan 2021 to 22 gigawatt in Climate Action Plan 2023. There are 3 focus sectors for Ireland in order to achieve these. There's the green hydrogen sector, the solar sector, and the dominant wind sector. In the green hydrogen sector, as Dr. Bhupendra Singh had mentioned, Ireland's government has revealed a long-awaited strategy to make hydrogen a key ingredient in the country's future energy goals. The new strategy aims to help Ireland scale up its production of green hydrogen to ensure energy security and boost difficult to decarbonize sectors of the economy. The goal is to use hydrogen energy to decarbonize and enhance energy security by reducing fossil fuel. Is it audible now?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, thank you. So as I was mentioning, in offshore wind, Ireland has made great strides. Very recently, an offshore wind contract has been signed between ESB and Ørsted to develop offshore wind portfolio. It is the second large source of electricity after natural gas and is truly renewable. Solar is an emerging sector for Ireland. It is the fastest growing source. And as per forecasts, there's expected to be an 8-fold growth from the present 700 megawatt to 2030, where we will see 20% of share of solar in the energy mix. Solar is extremely important for applications in not only electricity generation, but also meeting the heating requirements of Ireland and for reducing cost of doing business for industries. If forecasts have to be believed, based on watts per capita Ireland is predicted to be on par with solar leaders of Europe like Germany and Netherlands by 2025. And India sees a great opportunity in enabling Ireland to achieve this. Now, with your permission, Your Excellency, I would want to begin my short presentation. So a lot of data points have already been covered in the comprehensive presentation by Dr. Bhupendra, but I would like to reiterate what the Honorable Prime Minister's vision for India is. We have come a long way in the past 1 decade from being at 38 gigawatt in 2015 to 176 gigawatt and 179 gigawatt soon in July 2023. Solar and wind energy capacity has tripled in the last couple of years, making India third largest globally and fourth largest in solar and wind energy. The Honorable Prime Minister had mentioned the Panchamrit pledge and has laid out the long-term decarbonization strategy at COP28. India's Panchamrit pledge focuses on having a 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel capacity, of which 450 gigawatt will be renewables, 50% mix to be through renewable energy in our energy demand by 2030, 1 billion ton of reduction in carbon intensity, and around 45% reduction in carbon intensity from 2005 levels. There is an annual calendar which is set to aggregate demand for the domestic industry of around 50 gigawatt for the next 5 years. The growth enablers in India's story are at 3 fronts. One is the supply side incentivization by the government of India for sectors such as green hydrogen, solar manufacturing, and solar development of large-scale parks. On the other hand, we have demand aggregation by renewable energy implementation agencies such as Solar Energy Corporation of India, NTPC, NHPC, and SJVN. And finally, the most important element in this drive is the decarbonization target. Renewable purchase obligations have been placed on major emitters and distribution companies to compulsorily source renewable energy in their electricity demand. As our Excellency had mentioned, India is the most populous nation with 1.43 billion, having a growth rate of 0.8%. It is the third largest energy consumer. And what is most important is that while being the most populous nation, this share is most seen in the middle class section of our society, the most aspiring part of our society. We already have an under-penetrated electricity market, and there is a huge demand for renewable energy to meet this requirement. India is a very competitive geography as far as renewable energy is concerned, situated well between the tropics, having a great geographical advantage of 7,500 kilometers plus coastline, 8 renewable energy rich states with 4 to 7 kilowatt hour irradiation potential, and truly lowest renewable energy tariffs of around USD 33 million per megawatt hour. In fact, 2.99 was one of the lowest solar tariffs that was seen in India's case. The levelized cost of energy globally, in that India has come among the top ranks, and it also has the lowest cost of installation and one of the highest execution times. India boasts of having the largest solar park in Bhadla of around 2.4 gigawatt. This small snapshot, which you can see, clearly reflects our growth since 2014. And you can very well see that while large hydro has had a very modest growth from 40 to 72.8 gigawatts, it is solar and wind which has really picked up. From just 2.63 gigawatt of solar energy, we have reached almost 67 gigawatts of renewable energy through solar by March 2023. And in 2030, we expect 292 gigawatt of solar energy and 99 gigawatt of wind energy. The other ecosystem enablers in our large energy landscape are the green energy corridors, which are dedicated evacuation corridors for renewable energy. We have the green energy open access rules, which incentivize commercial and industrial MSMEs to also adopt clean energy. Very recently, we have had a waiver of interstate transmission system charges, which will incentivize a very comprehensive development of energy. To give you an example, Rajasthan is a leading solar energy state, whereas we have port infrastructure coming up along the coastlines for green hydrogen exports. We are leveraging the capacity and potential of both these states. How so? Having large-scale solar and wind parks in Rajasthan to transmit and wheel their energy to the ports where we have our green hydrogen plant in order to produce green hydrogen and its derivatives such as green ammonia, methanol, is the long-term vision. In this, the waiver of ISTS will play a crucial role of achieving a hydrogen cost of $1 per kg by 2030. We have a very active green term ahead market. We have, as I mentioned, renewable purchase obligations, which are almost going to go up to 40% by 2030. One key element for renewable energy projects and achieving a very higher internal rate of return of 13 to 14% is an assured off-taking mechanism. India has multiple renewable energy implementing agencies. However, I would like to point out 4 of them: NTPC, SECI, SJVN, and NHPC, which have been given calendars of installing 50 gigawatt by 2030. These agencies have a very unique model of signing power purchase agreements with the private sector that is generating renewable energy and selling them to discoms and other consumers. This key off-taker agreements enable the power park developers to raise financing from promoters worldwide. Almost $70 billion plus has been invested in Indian renewable energy sector since 2014. We are the most attractive emerging market for investments in 2021, as per Ernst & Young report. We have sovereign green bonds worth $1.93 billion. Very recently, the framework was announced by the Ministry of Finance. And almost $800 billion, very aggressively speaking, investment potential in Indian renewable energy in the next decade. So we have come a long way of getting 13.3 billion, but now the road ahead is much more challenging. We are looking at pension and sovereign funds investment for the development of these large-scale renewable energy projects and achieving our ambitious goals. India's strong and robust market can be witnessed through the large investments that we have already seen in our companies. We have pension funds, institutional investors, sovereign wealth funds, investing in companies such as Renew Power, Greenco, O2 Power, Azure Power, Apraava, Avada, Hero Futures Energy. And it is really incredible how all these companies have actually picked up growth in the last 1 decade. These are the same companies who have now the confidence to enter into new emerging areas such as solar manufacturing and green hydrogen. We can also see a graph of how the levelized cost of energy is dipping over the years, making India a very competitive market, how our capacity in gigawatts has scaled from 2010 to 2023. This has been at the back of a number of government initiatives, starting with the National Solar Mission, going ahead to focus on rooftop development of solar and ultra mega solar parks, green energy corridors. And now what lies ahead is not just building vanilla solar and wind parks, but focusing on key aspects of round-the-clock power, energy security, grid integration, and large-scale energy storage systems such as green hydrogen, pumped hydro storage, and battery energy storage systems. The focus is not just on building large-scale renewable energy projects, but Indian government really focuses on bringing sustainability to the last mile. Through PM Kusum Yojana, we are focusing on doubling the farmers' income and incentivizing clean energy to replace diesel generators and providing them energy independence in the true sense. I can talk about a personal example where one of the companies that we had worked with has set up a great solar park of around 1 megawatt, very close to Manesar in Haryana. And the incredible outcome of this project was that from an earning of 50,000 per month for the farmer, the earning has reached 1.5 lakhs. And this is all because of him integrating solar plants with his agricultural produce. The next step is to meet this mismatch between the available supply of solar modules in India and that will be required to meet our target of 50 gigawatt of capacity addition by 2030. PLI scheme in green hydrogen and solar are taking this forward. If we have to talk about the production-linked incentive scheme for solar energy, the focus is on domestic and indigenous production across the solar value chain, right from polysilicon to the ingot wafers, to the cells, and finally to the modules. The total outlay for this scheme has been at around 24,000 crores, which translates to $2.3 billion, out of which we have had 2 tranches. In the first tranche, we had 3 winners who have already commenced production of solar modules. In fact, a few solar module companies have also begun exporting to key countries like the US. And a very heartening news has been of a local company called the Vikram Solar, which has been able to invest in the US to start manufacturing solar PV modules. The policy thrust comes from 2 sides. In this case, supply side is, of course, the production-linked incentive scheme. On the demand side, we have the basic custom duties to prevent dumping of goods integral to the solar manufacturing chain. And we also have an approved list of models and manufacturers, which ensures that module manufacturing is not just cost competitive, but is also of high quality and gives the maximum returns to the consumer over a long-term agreement of 25 years. India ranks 4th in solar capacity globally. 7.2 gigawatt of solar rooftop capacity has been installed across the country. 68 out of the 68 gigawatt, only 13 gigawatt itself has been added in 2022. And this has been a great achievement given that India had just come out of the pandemic. In terms of wind energy, India has a very mature wind energy market, that is the onshore wind energy market. We have key players such as Suzlon, Vestas, Sembcorp functioning in this space. We have the 4th largest in wind capacity globally. We have a wind potential of 300 gigawatt and an offshore potential of 70 gigawatt, a target of 30 gigawatt by 2030. Installed wind energy capacity, as you can see, has been growing and is going to see further thrust with the coming of solar wind hybrid policy. We have the draft national repowering policy under formulation. The aim is to increase the capacity utilization factor of the old wind turbines. We have an offshore wind promotion scheme and a separate RPO trajectory for the development of the wind energy sector. Now, as I had mentioned, we have got great strides in solar and wind. However, solar and wind alone are not able to meet the intermittency challenges that the renewable energy sector presents. Hence, it becomes very important to ensure round-the-clock power. One model is, of course, to have a hybrid solar wind park. The other ways of achieving this is green hydrogen. And I have to, point this out that this webinar is happening at a very opportune time. I've just come back from the pre-bid meeting for the green hydrogen production, the first pre-bid meeting for the green hydrogen production under National Green Hydrogen Mission, which happened today afternoon. The first tranche has already been announced, and the first bids are going to end by September 7th. And we are going to have a number of these bids leading up to 2030. We aim at achieving 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen by 2030. Why is this 5 MMT figure very important? It's important because the present hydrogen production in India is at 6 million metric ton. But that is all gray in nature, driven by coal-based processes such as steam methane reformation. The idea is to first change this 5 MMT from gray hydrogen to green hydrogen. Secondly, end-use application. In terms of end-use application, the idea is to focus on short-term targets of green energy exports. Till now, energy exports used to be coming from fossil fuel-based sectors such as coal, natural gas, oil, LPG. However, green hydrogen is a unique energy vector in the sense it's the first time that renewable energy can be converted into a commodity. Roughly, green hydrogen would translate to 125 gigawatt of renewable energy addition. So green hydrogen itself will also drive a lot of solar and wind parks coming up by 2030. That is because in the costing of green hydrogen, renewable energy occupies 70% of share. And since I have already established that India has the lowest renewable energy LCOE, green hydrogen will also be very competitive in India. The other 30% is electrolyzer manufacturing, which is what the National Green Hydrogen Mission is also incentivizing. By scale of economies, we expect a decline of 50% in electrolyzer costs. And this development is going to be across the different types of electrolyzers presently available in the market, whether it's alkaline electrolyzers, whether it's PEM electrolyzers, or whether it is the solid oxide electrolyzers. We have the National Green Hydrogen Mission has been broken down into 3 components. We have the site program, which is going to provide incentives very similar to the production linked incentive schemes. It has an outlay of $2.1 billion and is focusing on electrolyzers and green hydrogen production. We have pilot projects which will demonstrate projects in end-use applications that we are targeting for the medium term and the long term, such as steel industries, fertilizer industries, heavy-duty trucking, sustainable aviation fuels, and shipping. And then finally, we have R&D projects which will explore how to increase the efficiency in conversion of renewable energy to green hydrogen, to green ammonia, and breaking it back to green hydrogen at the off-taker site. These R&D projects are being led by our strong and robust science and technology research institutions such as the IITs, the CSIRs, the NIOTs. Finally, we have an internal domestic demand of ammonia and refinery. Green hydrogen is expected to bring down the large import costs of fertilizers. And we are expecting a $340 billion market by 2050. With that, I would like to end this presentation and would open the floor for any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Deepanshu, for your valuable remarks. And it's really another fruitful, very informative presentation. And we have taken note of your inputs for the possible further cooperation. And now this is time for Q&A. So the floor is open for queries. You can ask questions you can ask your questions for both the speakers. Yes,
Can I
please.
start? So my question is mainly for Bhupendra Singh ji.
If you are whisper, then you can come here.
It's okay.
Come.
We can turn this camera. Tell the camera.
You can come here.
So,
Camera control.
yeah. Thanks. Thank you very much to both the speakers for the very informative session. My question is for Mr. Bhupendra Singh ji, if you wouldn't mind. I really like the way you have said how India and Ireland can cooperate. And you mentioned one of the points is the startup sector, the startup sector's collaboration. I know, sir, your ambition is that as well. What would be your ideal scenario where you think we can collaborate? What is the channel? How does these startups from both the countries can access each other, brainstorm, and maybe start the collaboration and follow?
So can I answer? Yeah. So especially, when the startup are the companies, which are start, very new ventures actually. They require investment, they require technology, they require supply chain, So in these are the three areas Ireland and India can cooperate. Now coming to the sector wise, as I said that, Indian companies, solar companies are many startups companies are there. Then they have expertise. They need investment. They have also technology because, as our previous speaker has mentioned, in the solar, India has achieved a large, targets. So that experience we can share with their startup also in Ireland. So our startups can collaborate. Investment, FDI, these are the area we can technology transfer, then manpower collaboration. That is, you can say that talents collaboration, and these are the three areas we can work. One for solar, another for EV. EV is also very promising area. And after all, the goal is every country is now talking about to reduce our GHG emission and achieve net zero. And so my point is that net zero is not only going to achieve by exploiting renewables only. If you have to control transport pollution, that is the EV is the maximum solution. Biofuel is also one area. So a startup, again the startup, EV, small companies, small, they can component manufacturers, they can small vehicle manufacturers. These are the area where both the startup company can cooperate. Here again, the three principles, technology, investment, and talent collaboration can be done. Then R&D is requires huge investments, where both the government, means Ireland and government of India, so they are a strong will for the investment in R&D, and they can give some subsidies, some more you can say facility towards their loan procurement or investment, so that a startup can flourish. That in the both country it requires. So these in the renewable sector, the 2-3 area we can work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm advising a startup accelerator in Ireland as well, which is working on sustainable and environmental solutions, called 2050 Accelerator. And I think if there is something similar in India, maybe in West India we can talk. And there might be an opportunity to collaborate in that.
CI have also, very strong division of a startup. If needed, we can connect you to our startup companies.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Shalji, want to say something?
Yeah, I have actually just, I can comment on both of our presenters today, that in terms of actually, when we are looking relations between a startup to a startup, I feel it is a recipe for disaster. These are my personal views. We want to have actually more collaboration between established companies and maybe established company and a startup. And we are looking particularly in the manufacturing sector, that is batteries, inverters, and probably the photovoltaic cells. We have a project here, a new company, it is called AirSun, and we have about 25 million project, and we are setting up a manufacturing. Currently, we do contract manufacturing with one of the Indian company based in Pune. And if there's a more, these kind of companies for the batteries and inverters and photovoltaic cells, that could be interesting, particularly for us. And other thing, I have one point about the tariff, like import duty from India. It is about 30% on solar photovoltaic cells. That is not competitive with the European market. Particularly, we can't compete with that kind of tariff from India. So that's something for the government, they can look into it.
As I said that to help a startup, a strong will of government is needed to address their issues. By and large, issues as I've heard is that you want market, you have competitive market in European, so you need the production cost very low, and so that you can compete there more and more, and more best technology can be acquired for that, and you can produce you can say a product which can compete with the other European companies. So definitely that requires huge investment and technology. And India has some technology which you can get at the cheaper rate also. And of course, if you can employ India's talents, that can also be helped. And I think our embassy is there. They can also facilitate it there. And here at CIR, as I have mentioned, we have many committees in renewable. We have renewables also, solar also, wind also, and startup also. A startup is a big division here. So we can, what are the problem you can address, and we would like to more collaboration with the Ireland startup. This is from my side. Deepanshu, if you can add more.
Sure, sir. So I think it's for startups, I will talk about it in two ways. Bhupendra sir has exactly mentioned the three most important pillars. One is, of course, financing of a startup, especially early stage and at a venture stage. It's very much needed, and that's where Invest India's Startup India team, accelerators, are very integral in developing the startup ecosystem, whether it's in traditionally Bangalore or Hyderabad, or now we also have startups coming up in Pune and Kolkata. The second aspect is, of course, a clear demand forecast for their products. That is also something that India requires. India usually has aggregator-based startups, user aggregate-based models, and we definitely need deep technology startups, which is where Europe is a big leader. And third is research and development, as Sir had mentioned. Research and development is very important, not just for evaluating the technology that is being brought in from, let's say, Ireland to India, or from India to Ireland, but also to understand if what the potential of that clean tech startup is in Indian conditions. So I have personally in Invest India been facilitating a couple of startups in emerging technologies such as offshore wind and geothermal, and even tidal energy. And I can confidently say that the CSIR labs that are spread across the country, the Indian Institutes of Technology, that is the IITs and the IISc, NIOTs, we have dedicated labs of the where a lot of talent and a lot of research is happening, with the intention of not just understanding the emerging technology, but also how you can deploy them in the most efficient manner. We have the government is focusing on scaling this startup ecosystem. Especially this present government has brought in the Atal Innovation Mission, and we have Atal Innovation incubating centers across the country. So there is two of the companies that I had shown, Greenco and Renewable. They are, I would say, now they may not be startups, but they were the unicorns. They are actually unicorns, and it's been phenomenal the way they have grown. As far as somebody had mentioned synergies, key synergy areas, I feel Ireland definitely has a great potential in solar, which hasn't been met yet. And given that India has great expertise in whether rooftop solar-based solutions or even module manufacturing, these are areas I think where Indian companies can actually be looking at Ireland's solar energy needs. And the same way, India has to do a lot in terms of wind capacity, especially the offshore wind projects. We have identified states. We have done feasibility studies using National Institute of Wind Energy. However, we would definitely need a lot more industrial knowledge, which I believe Ireland definitely has. Thank you. And just one final comment is that Invest India has Startup India under it. So Startup India is a program by the government, flagship program by the government of India under the Ministry of Commerce, DPIIT, which is under whose aegis we work. And with the embassy, we have with other countries, the Startup India team has carried out Startup India bridges, where we identify the key focus areas of, let's say, Germany, France, and in this case, it could be Ireland also. And then we kind of conduct hackathons between the two countries, and see how collaboration can be done between financiers, the technology players, the research institutions, and various startups. So I would love to, facilitate any startups from Ireland or any investors from Ireland looking at the startup ecosystem in India through the Startup India team at Invest India.
So if we could just ask the question, Noel Gabbigan again with Airsun, and I work as a consultant in the renewable energy space here in Ireland. And one of what's very apparent to me over the last number of months working with different partners in this is that Ireland and India share very similar business culture and very similar values in how we work with contracts, how we work with agreements, how we work with, and just similar general values. And it's quite an interesting space to see. So I think there's a lot of potential to collaborate. And I think there's those tensions that can sometimes happen, I don't think will be as apparent. And I think we'll work well together. As His Excellency pointed out, Ireland's economy has boomed over the last number of years. And one of the disadvantages of that is we have a massive shortage of labour. And in working with Indian companies, I think there's a huge synergy there in how we can
work with, we've Irish design, we've Indian designers, and how we can work best so that we can use the manufacturing capability. We don't have heavy industry here, whereas India does. And if we can work together on that, I think there's huge potential, both on the smaller scale and the larger scale. I would agree with Prashant that it's best to have at least one of the partners as a large established company, because it makes it a lot easier to work. But my question really is, given that there's plenty of opportunity for collaboration here, how do we start that? How do we get companies in contact with each other? How do we get that we can start partnering up and networking across, which is obviously a large geographical divide, and we have technology available here. We can see loads of people on the screen which we could potentially work with, but how do we make those individual connections? And I suppose that's the next question, to advance forward past what we're doing here today. How do we get to the next stage?
So I'll address both your questions. For the first question being, how do we get in touch with each other? So Invest India is the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency. It is our job to provide go-to-market strategies. You can approach us through the embassies, or I can in fact put our email ID in the chat, even see of our team and even mine. So that's the first step, I would say. Then once we understand what is the business case pertinent to your company, we can see what kind of collaboration we can do, what kind of investment needs are there. The skilling part that you had mentioned, the labor aspects that you had mentioned, is a very important aspect. His Excellency had mentioned the International Solar Alliance. Very recently, India had carried out something called the Solar X Grand Challenge. That was again done by Startup India and the energy team at Invest India with cooperation with International Solar Alliance. And it was a startup and a skilling exercise done across the continent of Africa, where we brought in research institutions, private and non-private and governmental, which were carrying out these skilling programs, incentivizing African startups. And even within the government, we have a number of schemes such as the Surya Mitra scheme, the Vayu Mitra scheme, which focuses on training and green skilling. So there are a number of organizations within a huge network of the government, and which has been given a lot of emphasis by the government on where we can see collaboration of green skilling as well. So of course, I mean, all of us have to leverage our strengths, Invest India, the associations, CII, and we would, and with the backing and the full support of the Government of India, whether it's the embassy or whether it's the line ministry, Ministry of New and Renewable Energies, Department of Science and Tech, I think it is very much possible.
Thank you.
Just a quick. Firstly, thanks to both Bhupendra Ji and Deepanshu for great presentations and His Excellency's invitation today. So my name is Shrikant, and I work for an entity called Tech Ireland here. So we are an innovation database for the island of Ireland. So there are a number of startups that are building clean tech, deep tech in Ireland. And one feedback we often hear from companies here is that it is so difficult to penetrate into the cosmos called India. So Deepanshu, it would be fantastic to get some support in signposting for Irish startups to talk to larger companies, especially. And I completely agree with some feedback here that it's more important to bridge connections between larger companies and smaller companies on both sides to see those synergies happen. There are a number of investors in Ireland that focus on impact investments specifically. So of course the UN SDGs and the ESG part of it is very important. Organizations like B Corp and Tonic have been have been talking to companies here to onboard them. And there are organizations that want to divert pension funds into impact innovators. So if there is some activity in the impact space in India, we definitely love to know. There's an organization called Science Foundation Ireland, and Science Foundation Ireland would be a key research promoter in Ireland. It's a state organization. I've recently seen OECD data that shows India would have significantly larger deep tech talent pipeline compared to many other regions in the world. It would be interesting if there are ways for SFI, Science Foundation Ireland research centers, to access some of that talent and to touch base with similar parallel organizations in India. So some of these were just comments and questions as well. So any advice from both of you would be great. Thank you.
So from my side, I would like to that, as you said that you want some collaboration and know what's happening, in India. So I think both sides, either from India, there should an Indian delegation should visit, Ireland, comprising startups and renewable energy, companies. And we can arrange a round table at Ireland, and there the prospective companies and startups company can come and can discuss, common problems, and can collaborate for future business, opportunity. So these are one things I would like to say. Rest, I think. Deepanshu Invest India is working very hard for that, so he will give more light on that.
So yes, of course, a roundtable and in-person meeting is something that will be the final outcome, and maybe we have a very vibrant energy community, startup community. So Invest India, CII, the other associations, even the government, the line industries, we all have a number of companies which we represent at global platforms, where these companies are given an opportunity to seek investments, because a lot of times these companies may not have the wherewithal to make this outreach to investors worldwide. And from personally speaking, I feel information asymmetry is something that still exists, even though we live in a very globalized world. There's so much of information that is very difficult to sift through this. So that's where associations and government initiatives such as Invest India play a vital role in plugging that gap. And a roundtable is one such way. But leading up to that, roundtable, I would say we should at least get into conversations for potential collaborations through virtual meetings. We could start with certain specific subsectors, like if it's renewable energy or if it's even EV. Borrowing a leaf from what Bhupendra Sir said. Even I mentioned Renew and Greenco, but even in the EV space, India has been doing phenomenally well. We have EV startups that are making that have really brought a transformation in the way we travel in India. Across all these sectors, whether it's AI, IoT, whether it's smart grid solutions, energy, or even carbon credits, which is a booming field now. Very recently, India has decided to launch a national carbon market, and India, even the voluntary carbon market, India has been a major carbon credit supplier. So all this is happening, and we should start getting into conversations which leads up to a sort of roundtable or an expo of sort, where we can come together, present, show our strengths, and seek potential collaborations. So that roundtable also has a great outcome for companies, and is not just limited to the gathering.
Thank you so much. If there is no further question,
so far the discussion has been very interesting and very informative. Lot of data, a lot of information to crunch in. But the bottom line is that there is excellent opportunity for both the countries to collaborate, particularly because it's a very high growth area, and that's from the global demand and all. Myself, Surya Patra, I am running a talent acquisition company here for last several years. So what I see for myself or for my company, there are two synergies coming here. One is that one of the points that was discussed out of the three pillars. One is the technology kind of talent collaboration, where probably I can pitch in from my resources, and also other one is the investment. Like more of like I personally myself or my company do not have any expertise in the energy sector as such so far, because I'm so far been basically a technocrat. But then the other synergy I can think of is that maybe we can, if there are any promising startups are there or companies are there in India in growth path, looking for funds, maybe I can pitch in there and do some support.
There are no more questions. That let me thank on behalf of the Indian Embassy our very esteemed friends, Dr. Bhupendra Singh ji and Deepanshu ji. Your presentations were truly superlative, really impressive. I have been in Ireland for 1.5 years, and I have traveled extensively and met with a lot of chambers of commerce and business community leaders in Ireland. And also before I came to Dublin, I had 6 months advance notice about my posting. So I did also extensive discussions in India. And one thing is common, that on both sides, there is a huge misinformation about each other's potential. In India, still Ireland is not well known, Ireland of today. Similarly, in Ireland, there is acute misinformation, disinformation about India. They still look at India from the Mother Teresa's perspective. So there's not enough awareness at the business level about how India has changed in the last 9-10 years. So the first step and most important step, as Deepanshu mentioned, is to have the conversation. And that is why I'm really grateful to CII Invest India and my colleague for facilitating this. We need more and more thematic sectoral conversations. In San Francisco, I was Deputy Consul General, and there used to be a very important business promotion event called networking. Get to know who are the players. So we need to know, like Bhupendra has very wisely identified some very high potential areas in the renewable energy segment. So we need to understand who are the players in each one. And we will get back to you, Dr. Saab. So in each of the areas, who are the players on Indian side? Who are the important potential interlocutors on Irish side? And you can help in identifying who are people who are interested, even vaguely looking at India at this point. And the second point is, when we talk about business connectivity, I share like Deepanshu's and Prashantji's view that two toddlers can't help each other walking, who are both learning. So we need a right kind of matchmaking. Yeah. And therefore, when I talk about, as an engineer, I'm talking about Startup Connect, I'm not looking at the same thing. We're looking at connecting two startup ecosystems. And Bhupendra ji spelled out, and Deepanshu ji also, like various elements of financial and investment angle, the technology angle, and the market angle. So there is a huge opportunity for India, Ireland to think practically, think grounded, granular way. How do we leverage each other's unique strengths for mutual benefit? I am not a businessman, but I have been engaged in business facilitation for 34 years. And I can give you in writing that unless the business discussion is thoughtful, unless the sustainability aspect is addressed upfront, it will not take off. So we have to think about how do we dovetail each other's strengths. And this is one area which excites me as India's ambassador, because India and Ireland have very distinct niche areas of strength. Locational advantage, diaspora connectivity, business market advantages, scale of market, innovation and knowledge. So in each sub-segment, we have very fascinating complementarities. Ireland's strength is not a threat to India. Similarly, what we are doing, we are not going to eat into Ireland's growth potential. What we can do is we can help each other grow faster, go more green, more sustainable way. And that is why I'm really grateful to both of you for sparing time. We need more thematic, even smaller conversations with the right partners on both sides, just to start the brainstorming, start the conversation, as Deepanshu ji rightly said. Once again, we are very grateful to you all and also your colleagues who are supporting and participating in this program. We look forward to having many more and also welcoming you in Dublin. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste.